Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic Hypersonic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to talk to you about the latest episode of Creature Commandos. It was called The Iron Pot. And as it starts, Eric and Flag spy on a college classroom where a professor is teaching a class on Themyscira and makes a special point to mention that its inhabitants are lesbians. Okay. This, of course, is the same woman who has vouched for Cersei's visions, saying that they're probably true. So Flag and Eric decide to surveil her further. Meanwhile, the Bride, Weasel, Mermaid, and Dr. Phosphorus arrive back in Palakistan to kill the princess. Back with Flag and Eric, we see that Eric has a flashback to when he spent time with an old gypsy woman just after killing Victor and being burned in a fire at the castle. She helps him heal with some, in his words, gypsy shit. Back in the present, he searches the professor's house with Flag, who soon finds the professor murdered in her office, which Flag thinks means that the person speaking to the class earlier was an imposter. Flag finally reaches the princess by phone and warns her that the Creature Commandos are going to kill her before he and Eric hide in the professor's house as someone appearing as the professor enters. In another flashback, Eric talks more with the gypsy woman about how he'd been hunting and bonding with her dog before thanking her for nursing him back to health, at which point she says that he's welcome to stay as long as he likes because he's made her happy. Back at the professor's house, it turns out that the person impersonating the professor is Clayface. With the princess now wise to the assassination plot, the Bride and company are hemmed in by palace forces and are unable to get to the palace, prompting Dr. Phosphorus to quite violently kill their driver, and he, the Bride, Weasel, and Mermaid to flee in the streets on foot and hide, in the case of Weasel and Mermaid, and continue to fight the palace forces in the case of Dr. Phosphorus and the Bride. Meanwhile, Eric and Flag find themselves fighting Clayface, who Eric manages to electrocute by tearing some wires from the wall and zapping him, though not before Clayface apparently breaks Rick Flag's back, which seems to kill him. Once again in flashback, Eric prepares to leave the Gypsy Widow's house to try to find the Bride, much to the Gypsy woman's sadness, which prompts him to, I guess, mercy kill her so that she wouldn't be alone, which he does rather violently by bashing her head in with a rock. As the episode ends, the princess directly tells her security to find and kill the Commandos. So, I say this every week, I'm going to say it again, I continue to like this show. I thought this episode was really good, and that's because I love David Harbour as Eric Frankenstein. David Harbour is just a really good actor. He's great in Stranger Things. I thought his Hellboy was pretty good. I mean, his version of the character, not so much the movie. And he's absolutely fantastic as the Red Guardian, both in live action and in animation. And here again, he's just fantastic in this part. I totally believe him as a Renaissance man version of Frankenstein. I say Renaissance man, I mean in his appreciation of the arts and pop culture. Of course, he's still a barbarian in the way he thinks of love and marriage and romance and all that, but he's just very good in this part. I'm loving the character. I love his portrayal. I very much like the character of the Bride. She's great in this episode, and the action in the episode was really great. The fighting between the Commandos and the palace forces. And it was plenty gory, which, again, I really, really like. So, I'm just enjoying this show, and I thought this episode was great because it featured Eric heavily, and, we got to see more of his backstory, and we got some shootouts and violence. So, what more could you ask for? And, this is not to shortchange the fight with Clayface, which was also very cool. And apparently we're going to have to find out later why Clayface was impersonating the professor, like what was in it for them, and was there something more sinister going on. Clayface may or may not be dead. I wasn't clear on that. He was, at the very least, knocked out by his electrocution at the hands of Eric. So we'll have to see what happens in the coming weeks. There are only a few more episodes left in the season. By the way, the show has been renewed for season 2, which is good news. I think it's a decent show. I would be happy to watch a second season. And I think it's good news for James Gunn and the DCU, seeing as this is really the first DCU project. So hopefully it's a harbinger of more good projects, well-received projects to come. The next one, of course, being Superman. Anyway, that's all there is to say about this episode. I'm going to get out of here. I'll be back with another video soon. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.